വാതുക്കല വെള്ളരി പ്രാവ് വാക്ക് കൊണ്ട് മുട്ടാണ് കേട്ട്.
My dear students, welcome to today's social science class. Our pigeons are here. I know you were used to visit them during your PT periods in the previous years, and this year we have got few more new pigeons, and you will meet them when you come back. So in the last class we have already began with history and the arrival of East India Company to India. So we have completed up to the Battle of Plassey, and we will divide the history of British India into four. They reached India after 1600, and the period up to 1707, that is up to the death of Aurangzeb when the Mughal Empire was strong. It may be the first phase of British East India Company in India. And from 1707 to 1757 up to the Battle of Plassey, we can term it as the second phase of British East India Company in India. During that period, which we have seen in the previous class, they did not come to the administration of any territory in India. During that period, they had no much interest in the political affairs of India, and they intervened in the political affairs only for the benefit of trade. And the third phase may be 1757 to 1857. That is from the Battle of Plassey to the first Independence War in 1857. That may be termed as the third period, and the fourth period of British East India Company in India may be during the nationalist movements, that is after 1857 until 1947, the Indian independence. So we have already seen regarding the Battle of Plassey and the arrival of the British East India Company and the arrival of Dutch, Portuguese and French team in India for trade. And with the Battle of Plassey, the British East India Company was slowly interfering in the political affairs of India. After the Battle of Plassey, there was a major war in the Battle of Buxar in 1764. And after the Battle of Buxar, the British East India Company formed a new policy to interfere in the political affairs of India. So they appointed a resident in India. The purpose of appointing the resident in India was to interfere in the political, and the resident was to make the facilities for the British East India Company for all trade programs. So in order to arrange it, the resident was having an interference in the political affairs of India. Maybe with the kings or the Nawabs in India, he was having a relation and he was making policies for the good trade of East India Company. And the British East India Company made a new policy after the Battle of Buxar. They brought a new policy of subsidiary alliance. The subsidiary alliance was this way. The Indian Nawabs or the Indian kings were not allowed to maintain a force for them, a protecting force for them. Instead of that, the British East India Company will do that job for Indian Nawabs or Indian kings. And the maintaining of the force or the army was the duty of British East India Company. And the British East India Company protected the Nawabs and the kings of India, and they were using the force for the needs of the kings or Nawabs in India. In return for this, the kings or Nawabs had to make a big payment to British East India Company. And when the Nawabs or kings failed to pay this amount, a small area or a part of their kingdom was allied to British East India Company, or that area will be taken away by the British East India Company for ruling. This was the method, and due to this method, slowly many parts of many rulers and kings were being attached to British East India Company, and they lost it. The king of Awadh, the Nawab of Awadh, lost half of his territory in order to pay for the British East India Company. This way, subsidiary alliance was implemented by British East India Company. And this subsidiary alliance policy was the beginning of taking away the territory of Indian rulers from Indian rulers to British East India Company. The British East India Company was slowly attaching many of the parts of the North India, especially in relation to Bengal. But at the same time, there was a ruler in India who did not come for any alliance with British. That was in South India. That was the Tiger of Mysore. Mysore was the kingdom of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan from 1761 onwards. It was ruled by Wadayar dynasty earlier, and in 1761 Hyder Ali captured and it became his kingdom. And in 1782 Tipu Sultan, son of Hyder Ali, became the ruler of Mysore, and he conquered many of the near area of Mysore. He came even to Kerala, and he was known as the Tiger of Mysore. He was brave and he fought against the British, and he was keeping enmity against the British during his time. During the time of these sultans, Mysore was ruled by these people, and earlier Mysore had trade relations for the Britishers also, and they had trade of cardamom, pepper, sandalwood, etc. from Mysore. The trade in the Malabar coast was controlled by the Mysore rulers. And when Tipu Sultan came to power, he did not want any relation with the British, and he had a support from the French team, and he had his trade with the France. And actually the Britishers had fought 4 wars against the Mysore sultans, and in the 4 wars, in the first 3, the Mysore sultans, Tipu or Hyder Ali, won the battle, and in the 4th one in 1799, Tipu Sultan was defeated in Srirangapattanam. And when Tipu Sultan was ruling in 1784, he made a policy not to sell any products from Mysore to anybody other than the French rulers. So the French trading companies brought things from Mysore, and they were having trade relations, and he had a friendship, Tipu Sultan had a friendship with the French team. So automatically the British East India Company understood that Tipu is a threat for them, and before Tipu, Hyder Ali also was a threat for them, and they confronted in direct battle between Tipu and British East India Company. And in the first 3 wars, the 2 during the period of Hyder Ali and the next 2 during the period of Tipu Sultan, the Mysore rulers were winning the battle. But in the 3rd battle in 1792, Tipu had to make some treaty with the British East India Company, as he was also attacked by the Maratha force from one side and British East India Company from the other side. And in 1799, Tipu was defeated in the war and he was assassinated. And later, after 1799, the Mysore kingdom was handed over to the Wadayar dynasty, which was ruling the Mysore before Hyder Ali. And the British East India Company made a subsidiary alliance with the Wadayar dynasty too. So later, from the hands of the Wadayar dynasty, some parts of the Mysore was also taken away by the British East India Company as part of subsidiary alliance. Are you thinking of a break now? Do you want to enjoy a cup of tea? I hope you have taken already your breakfast, and now we will enjoy it after our class. Now we will see about the Maratha Empire. So it was a great empire in India. We will see it now. After the Mughal Empire, Maratha Empire was the greatest empire in India, which ruled a vast area. So the Maratha Empire confronted in 3 wars with the Britishers. In 1783, in the first war, nobody came as a victor. And before that, you should understand the area of the Maratha Empire. This Maratha Empire included a vast area in India. Maybe some parts of Tamil Nadu and Kerala was not part of it, and some part of Andhra was also not part of it. And it was extended even beyond the present boundary of India in the North India. And it was extended to Orissa. And during certain periods, even Delhi, Agra, those areas were also part of the Maratha Empire. This Maratha Empire had a system of confederation, a federal system, where the prime minister or the Peshwa was there in the center, which was in Pune. And this Peshwa coordinated the whole empire, and there were mainly four federal areas in the Maratha Empire, and these federal states were attached to the Maratha Empire. The emperor or the Peshwa or the prime minister of the Maratha Empire coordinated all the states. The Maratha kingdom was becoming a great empire in India after the Mughals. So in 1783, the British East India Company came for the first war against the Maratha. But there were no clear victor for this war, but there was a treaty made between the Marathas and British. Later in 1803, the second Maratha war took place, where the British East India Company could win the war to a great extent. So a vast area of the Maratha Empire, Orissa, Delhi, Agra, all these areas were annexed to British East India Company. So Marathas lost in that war many parts of its empire. Later in 1817 to 1809, the third Maratha war came, and after the third Maratha war in 1819, British East India Company won the war, and the Peshwa of the Marathas was sent in exile to Kanpur. So with that, the history of Maratha Empire was coming to an end. So this way, the Britishers were slowly capturing many parts of India. As the Maratha war was won by the Britishers, almost all parts south to the Vindhyan was captured by the Britishers. So the southern India was almost in the hands of British East India Company by 1890.
Next, we will learn about the claim of the Britishers to paramountcy. What do you mean by it? We will see it.
By the beginning of the 19th century, British East India Company was claiming its supremacy or paramountcy in India. What do you mean by the claim for paramountcy? The claim for paramountcy means the British claimed that they are the supreme power in India. Their power is above the power of any states in India. So there were some states who opposed it. When some were opposing it, these Britishers attacked them or threatened them, telling them that their territory also will be annexed to the British East India Company. So this way, slowly the British came to paramountcy in India by the beginning of 19th century. The policy of British changed by that time. The company had a rude policy of annexing and defeating the states in India during that time. But at the same time, there were many small kingdoms or many small states or local rulers who opposed the Britishers, and there were also rulers, for example Rayana from Karnataka. Such rulers fought against the company until their death, and they had the support of the local people too. And by the 1930s, the British East India Company had a shift of concentration because they were afraid that Russia may come to conquer the northern part. So they concentrated in Afghanistan. And in the northwest, Russia may come, so they slowly wanted to defeat Afghanistan. And in 1830s and 1840s, they fought against Afghanistan and captured or annexed many parts of Afghanistan. It was in the fear that Russia may come to conquer the northwest parts of India. So during that time they were concentrating there. And later in 1840s, the company was having battle against the king in Punjab, Ranjit Singh. So he was defeated. No, he was never defeated by the British East India Company. But after his death, Punjab was also annexed to British East India Company. This way, the company was claiming their paramountcy or supremacy over India. Lord Hastings was the Governor General of India from 1813 to 1823. It was during his period the claim of paramountcy was implemented in India.
Next, we have to study about the doctrine of lapse. What do you mean by the doctrine of lapse? It was a policy implemented by a British governor. We will see it.
When each governor generals came to India for their rule, each one implemented some kind of policies to annex some parts of India or some states of India to the British East India Company. So Lord Dalhousie was appointed the Governor General of India in 1848. He was the Governor General up to 1856. There is a place in India today known after his name, Dalhousie. That is in Himachal Pradesh. When you get a chance, it will be good if you visit there. Very beautiful place, and the places like Simla, Kulu Manali, Dalhousie, all these places are very nice. You will be interested to visit there. And Dalhousie is a beautiful place in India. It is known after the name of Governor General Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General of India from 1848 to 1856. So he introduced a new policy in India. It was known as the doctrine of lapse. What do you mean by the doctrine of lapse? So suppose an Indian ruler is dying without a male heir, automatically his kingdom will be annexed to British East India Company. You imagine, suppose a Indian ruler is coming to death without a male heir, then there is nobody to succeed his kingdom. So the male heir should take the succession of the kingdom. So here there is no chance. So in that case, automatically the kingdom will be annexed to British East India Company. This policy was introduced by Lord Dalhousie, and with this policy, this was simply a policy. Britishners did not want to take any pain, no battle, no pain, no expense. Some kingdoms, some states were simply being annexed to British East India Company. They got many kingdoms this way. And Sambalpur, Jhansi, all these kingdoms, more than 6 states were annexed to British East India Company through the doctrine of lapse. And finally, the state of Awadh was also being annexed to British East India Company. And for this, the Britishers played a drama. They said that the Nawab of Awadh was exploiting the people of Awadh. So, for the benefit and betterment of the people of Awadh, they needed the rule by the company. In pretension of this, they wanted to take away, or they wanted to annex Awadh to their kingdom. But the people also supported the Nawab of Awadh, and in 1857, the Great Rebellion was starting. We will study about this later when we study the Rebellion of 1857.
Now, when the British East India Company came to power, they brought their own system of administration in India. Now, we will see the new administration system implemented by the British in India.
Warren Hastings became the Governor General of India in 1773. He was the Governor General for almost 12 years. He was here up to 1785. So, it was during his period many administrative reforms were made in India. So, he made 3 presidencies for the British East India Company in India one was Calcutta, second one was Madras, and third one was Bombay. And these three presidencies were given one governor each, and the governor general was the supreme power in India. So there were governors for each presidency. And during his period, he also divided the whole India into different districts. So the head of the district was appointed and he was the collector. So presently also the head of the district is the collector in India. This system came during the time of the British East India Company, during the period of Warren Hastings. And the duty of he was named collector because his main duty was to collect tax. And it was the collector who was responsible to combine the police force and other forces and conduct the rule of the district. This way, a new administrative system was imposed and implemented by Warren Hastings during his governor generalship in India.
The company also brought certain changes in the system of army when compared to the Indian rulers. We will see that here.
To speak about the army of the British East India Company, British almost changed the system of the Mughal Empire. The Mughal Empire already had cavalry and infantry, and these were slowly made the sepoys. The word sepoy comes from the Indian word for soldier. So the Indian soldiers were known as sepoys by the Britishers, and this army was made and developed by the Britishers. But when the Britishers developed the army, there came up an issue. They implemented the strict disciplinary policies. There is only one disciplinary policy for the whole army. But the Indians were belonging to certain castes and communities. Their caste spirit and community spirit was above all. So the Britishers neglected them all. Automatically, the disinterest of the Indian soldiers came to the stage. So it slowly gave a reason for the revolt of 1857. You will come to see that. So this chapter we are coming to an end. In the beginning we had seen the British people had no interest in the rule of India. They were slowly coming to the trade, and slowly they started annexing few states, and by 1857 78% of the population of India was under the British rule. 63% of the whole India, the territory, was under British rule. And at the same time we should understand the other parts which was not under British rule was also to a great extent influenced by the British rule. So in fact, the whole India was slowly ruled by the British East India Company by 1857. So the Britishers came to India after 1600 AD, and by 1857, almost with 250 years, they came the supreme power in India. So from trade to territory, that is the name of the chapter, and the territory was annexed to British East India Company. So with this we are coming to the end of the chapter. Now I will give you the questions and answers. You will be given in the slide in the video itself, and you have to write down from the video the questions and answers of this chapter. You have to read the textbook well. I asked you to read at least twice. So last week I did not give you an examination. Last week I gave you an assignment. There were few students who did not do the assignment. Those students should do it and send it to me. And I asked you to join the Google Classroom of class 8. I have sent the details to everybody, and 42 students have already added. Others I have asked them to join immediately, and you have to join the Google Classroom with your own name. Tomorrow in the evening at 2 o'clock afternoon, I will be sending the question paper through Google Classroom. You have to see the question paper in Google Classroom, and from there you write down the answers on a paper, and after that take a photograph and send the answers through the Google Classroom itself to me. So I will correct the answers and I will send it back to you. The deadline of sending the answer sheet is at 8 p.m. in the evening. And in the next week, we are having the examination, and that is the examination of social science. And for the social science examination, I will not be giving a separate revision. You are already taught one chapter from geography, 2 chapters from political science, and from history. This present chapter will not be included for pre-midterm examination, but the first chapter is included for examination. All the questions and answers which I have given will be asked for the examination. The examination will be out of 25. And I need not give a separate revision to you. You have to study all the questions and answers thoroughly. You have taken down the notes. And today, after completing the notes, you have to send the notes of history, the present chapter. Complete the notes and send the notes also through Google Classroom. I will check it. So complete the notes. My dear students, I want all my students to score 25 marks out of 25 for the pre-midterm examination. Study well. You have only very few things to study. It should be thorough. You should study well and should score good mark. Wish you all the best. Have a good exam. Tomorrow you have class test. For that you have to study what I taught today. And in the next week you have pre-midterm examination. That also you have to study thoroughly all the 4 chapters from political science, geography and history. You have to revise well and you have to attend the examination. Wish you all the best. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Now you have to copy down the questions and answers to your notebook. After completion of the notebook, you have to send it to me. First question, what is subsidiary alliance? So you write the answer. Indian rulers were not allowed to maintain their independent forces. They were to be protected by the company, and Indian rulers were supposed to pay a subsidy to the British East India Company for this purpose. If the rulers failed to make this payment, part of their territory was taken away as penalty. This system is known as subsidiary alliance. Second question. In what way was the administration of the company different from that of Indian rulers? Write point by point. First point, the Indian rulers were inheriting power from dynasty. For the company, Governor General was appointed by the British government. Second point, Indian states ruled from the center by the ruler. British divided their territories in India to 3 presidencies, which was ruled by governors. Governor General was at the center. Third point, British introduced a civil court and a criminal court in each district. A Supreme Court was established in Calcutta. Fourth point, a collector was appointed at every district. He was in charge of collecting revenues and taxes and maintain law and order in the district with the help of judges and police. Third question, describe the changes that occurred in the composition of company's army. Write the answer. The Mughals gave more importance to cavalry as their need for infantry was served to a great extent by the armed peasants for local needs. The states of Awadh and Banaras later recruited these peasants to army. British also gave priority to cavalry and recruited peasants to army. In the 19th century, British began a uniform military culture. Soldiers were subjected to European-style training and discipline. The caste community feelings of the soldiers were ignored, and it disappointed the Indians. Now there are some textbook exercises. Match the following. Diwani, right to collect land revenue. Tiger of Mysore, Tipu Sultan. Faujidari Adalat, criminal court. Rani Channamma led an anti-British movement in Kittur. Sipahi, Sepoy. So these are the match following. You can mark it in the textbook. Now you have certain filling the blanks question from the textbook. The British conquest of Bengal began with the Battle of Dash, Plassey. Second question. Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan were the rulers of Dash, Mysore. Third question. Dalhousie implemented a doctrine of lapse. Fourth question. Maratha kingdoms were located mainly in the Dash part of India, southwestern part of India. State whether true or false. The Mughal Empire became stronger in the 18th century. Is it true or false? False. It was declining in the 18th century. Second question. The English East India Company was the only European company that traded with India. Is it true or false? False. There were French, Portuguese, and Dutch companies that came to India for trade. Third question. Maharaja Ranjit Singh was the ruler of Punjab. It's true. He was the ruler of Punjab. Fourth question. The British did not introduce administrative changes in the territories they conquered. It's false. British had brought administrative changes in the territories that they conquered. So complete all these exercises in the textbook and complete all the notes and send it to me.